Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments people have had whilst working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a guest. They are a podcaster, a film critic, technically a critically acclaimed investigative documentarian, Alexei Toliopoulos.
Hello, Seb. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
No, thank you so much for coming on. And just for all the beautiful perverts listening, that was definitely the first try of that as well. I think I might have even stumbled a little bit through there.
No, it was stunning. It was stunning to see you.
Thank you, Alexei.
My God.
Coming from you, I'll take that compliment.
I'm in awe right now, sir. I'm in awe.
Thank you. So usually, I like to start off this podcast with a little bit of a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
I do bring on all these wonderful guests, and I realise as well, like, you're all talking about the worst points in your career, and I never want it to come across like my beautiful guests are,
we got the loser squad. We're interviewing the loser
terrible.
squad.
It does come across like that sometimes, and it's never my intent. I never wanted to go out into the world to make people look worse. Not yet, anyway. I'll see how the rest of my career goes. Maybe I'll have to drag a few people down.
You got to.
But I wanted to start off by giving you compliments on the Finding series.
Well, I love to receive compliments, especially on the Finding series.
Yes, well, unfortunately, I can't. Because a friend of yourself and friend of the show, Cameron James, has already received that compliment.
Wow, okay.
And the podcasting overlords will not allow me to compliment the same show on my show twice.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'm going to have to just go in a different direction.
Please do.
So I would like to compliment you on possibly being one of the best, if not the best, spoken, most eloquent, most insightful men in Australian media, maybe even in worldwide media.
Oh my gosh. I'm insightful and I'm eloquent.
Well, you have the nicest speaking voice. You have the biggest list of words in your vocabulary of any human being I have met.
Goodness gracious, one of my longest words I have.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even know what that means. But some of the insights that you have on film, or even in pop culture, and then some of the interviews that you have done with people as well, I'm genuinely in awe.
Wow. Thank you so much, man.
No, you're quite right. That's a genuine compliment as well. And I suppose I interview people in this podcast. It's more informal. I come in with my little bits of research I've done, but it's nowhere near as... I mean, I don't know whether you just have this encyclopedia in your head or if you spend hours upon hours of researching the deep recesses of the internet to find out some things about certain people you've interviewed. But it is so entertaining to listen to. And
thank you.
The genuine joy that you have interviewing certain people as well. I'm currently making my way through Angela White just now.
Oh, yeah.
At time of recording, the most recent episode of your newest podcast, if you would like to give that a little spruik.
Yeah, my new show, The Last Video Store, which is like a bit of a dream show because it's doing all the things I like doing, which is... You know, my favorite thing is film and cinema, and I love exploring film and cinema. I love encouraging people to want to explore and to kind of inspire discovery in people when it comes to film. So it's all of that, but it's also a chat show, an interview show, where I'm joined by a guest, and they talk about basically the films that they love most.
Yeah.
And Angela White was, she's one of the biggest porn stars in the world right now.
It's crazy. Like, first off, I think that porn in itself is a beautiful art form.
Absolutely agree.
Think that
1000%.
anyone gets to dictate what art is. And we've had adult stars on this show before. We've had people that work in the sex industry.
Yeah.
And I think that all of that stuff is like... You can be a porn actor, you can be a quote-unquote real actor. It's all the same, man. We don't get to decide.
Exactly. I agree so much. And especially because it's like, that's what I was so interested and excited to talk to her about, because I was like, I want to know, like, I've interviewed actors before, I've interviewed a lot of filmmakers before, but I was so curious about, like, the idea of performance in adult film and pornography, because... It's a lot of it is being real or being naturalistic, which I think are two different things.
Yes.
And then also the kind of artifice of, like, if you have to play a character and then have sex on screen. And her insights into that was so exciting to me.
It was so well. I mean, first off, you came in with the exact correct questions for it, but then Angela gave such a great insight to it. And even just like things I didn't even think about, like the more naturalistic style versus the more heavily directed styles and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, that is like a lot of things I've never even thought about with that industry. But then even just how the industry's evolved in the past, like 10 years, 5 years, past year as well. Like that's the industry which I think you were saying as well has pushed a lot of technology in the cinema space.
Absolutely, because that's like, you know, when it comes to home video, it's always been pornography that has led those changes and like those advancements in technology. And I think because the part of the kitsch nature of this podcast is like it's set in the last video store in the world.
Yes.
It's got every single movie, and it's like that's the kind of funny, silly comedy aspect that I was excited about doing this. But also it was like, that's why I was like, oh, she's a perfect guest. I have to get her on because it's also speaking to something that is so tapped into that nostalgia of video stores as well.
Yes.
That's where I grew up. Like I worked in a video store from like age of 16 till 21, and then I worked in another video store when I just started doing stand-up and stuff. And so video stores were so much my access point to not just film and film culture, but to the world as well. Because I'm like, I've done a bit of traveling, but not much. I'm not a wealthy guy. So a lot of my, explorations of the world have been through film and through media because I can't afford to go on a holiday every year or something.
Alexei, you've worked for the ABC and you're telling me you're not a wealthy man?
Yeah, I worked on ABC on contract, so not even a full-time wage worker. Yeah, so not even less than you would think.
Anyone listening, please fund the ABC slightly better, or just the arts in Australia.
No, I reckon defund them.
Yeah,
defund them and fund me directly now.
Look, we'll link Alexei's PayPal at the end of this. If anyone wants to send him some money, no strings attached as well. Just
yeah,
send
of course.
him $5.
I would love to pay pig. I want to pay pig so bad.
Oh, tell me about it.
That's what I'm after.
That's all of our dream. And then we can just do whatever we want. We can still keep making all this content.
Just want an eccentric billionaire to find it hot for me to buy Blu-rays on their credit card. That's all I'm after.
So I have got into buying Blu-rays again, Alexei.
Oh my God, no. You can't fall down this habit. And I can't allow you.
I need an intervention.
Yeah, this is my path, man, because I've got 3,000 plus.
Oh my God.
I think it's like, we're on that topic, but when I worked in video stores, it was like, that's the happiest I ever was in my life. So if we're thinking about it, like all I've wanted since they closed down was to enshrine myself in one. So now in my little office, I've got like both walls on either side are full of DVDs, full of Blu-rays, full of movies.
And when you do pass on in many, many years' time, are you going to be buried like a pharaoh in a tomb of Blu-rays?
Yeah. I actually have told my partner, I was like, when and if I die, or when, if, who knows, maybe there's technology that they might test on me.
All these Blu-rays have somehow created an immortal.
I was like, okay, this is the plan with the Blu-ray collection. Like, I've got a little film group chat of like film critics and like cinephiles and stuff in, Australia. It's like, they can come in, take first dibs, they can pick 10 each, and the rest goes to be donated to the film school library where I went to film school.
I was love
like,
that.
It. That's my little Alexei Toliopoulos wing at the film school library.
It'll be a bit more than a little wing by the sounds of things.
Yeah, an albatross's wing over at that library.
That sounds too stressful as well, though, because you're like, what friends are allowed to come in first? Because obviously they want those rare ones. They want those expensive imports.
They know my expense. I've got a lot of expensive imports. There's enough for them to get a few each.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. That's fine. They're not just fighting over those like 5.
There's a lot of rare things in there.
In a glass shrine behind.
Yeah. There's one that I just lent out to a friend, and I remember I picked it up for something expensive. It's a movie called The Hot Rod, a 1970s heist film.
Oh, okay.
With Robert Redford and George Segal and Ron Liebman. And I remember, like, I'd heard about it for years, and I was like, I gotta see this movie. I found like this out-of-print Blu-ray, $55 eBay, and I was like, it's a bit expensive, let me buy it.
Yep.
And then another one of my friends this week was like, I know you've got this, can I borrow it? I was like, sure. It's yours for a bit, but I want it back.
I'm getting nervous.
And then he was like, man, have you looked up how much it's worth on eBay? And I was like, no, let's look it up now. And it was the cheapest one we could find. It's only been a year since I bought it for $55. Cheapest was $255.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is,
but I'll never sell them. So
I was going to say, this is your pension plan for working in the arts as well. This
I'm
is genuinely
a slumlord with them. I just retain them. I just like to retain them.
Never to be watched, never to be opened in the cases.
Exactly. No, they're all open. That's the other thing. Though. I've devalued every single one of them. Yeah.
Just smudged fingerprints on them. Let your nieces and nephews just play with them.
I scratched every single one. Yeah.
No one else is allowed to watch these. You watch them once and then just take a screwdriver to the back of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I've had a little bit of a problem myself with buying the ones that I really want as like they're not even a collector's piece, but the ones that I love, and like import them from overseas as well. And I'm like,
it's a deadly habit.
It's my little treat.
Yeah.
I just did one recently as well, and this documentary, I don't know where to find it now. It used to be on Netflix a good few years ago, but it is the thing that I will bring around to a friend's house, especially friends that work in the TV and film industry, and then the friends that work in the stunt industry as well. So I'll bring it around. It's called Kung Fu Elliot. It's about a local...
Wow. Tell me everything. I don't know this movie.
a local Vancouverian, maybe he definitely Canadian, and he's the #1 action star in Canada. And I'm doing that in air quotes on the podcast, which I realize is pointless.
We could hear there was a slight pause between the words. We know what an air quote sounds like. We're trains.
I'll insert that in post as well. But he's perpetually trying to make he is making his own films. And it is that...
I think I've heard of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is that one guy that every single city has who is so... And I'm trying to be nice with the way I'm describing this.
Can I say the word that I use?
Yes.
Outsider artist.
Yes.
To me, that's the real shit. I mean, finding a lot of that is based on like our love for outsider artists.
Yes.
Like people making things for creativity's sake, people that never made it, but are doing something on their own wavelength or something that's incredibly unique.
Yes.
And I think I'm really drawn to outsider art, and I'm really drawn to like documentaries about outsider art.
Okay, well, this is 100% up your alley then,
awesome.
in that case. And the documentary unfolds to a way where it almost seems like it's performance art, or it's like it's scripted. It's almost like a Tim and Eric sketch at points.
Yeah. Now you speak my language.
Yes.
Man. I love this.
And I've shown it to so many friends, and they're like, "This isn't real, right?" And I'm like, "It is. You have to wait to the end." And I bought the Blu-ray, and it's got all the special features on it.
Oh my gosh.
And the only way I could buy it was getting in touch directly with the guys that made the documentary and ordering it from them.
Man, there's a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things out like that way where you have to try and like get in contact with the director, get in contact with the creator. Like, can I buy this DVD off your website? I know it's defunct and you might not have copies left. Or there's been times where I've just like stumbled across a director who's perhaps older, his private Vimeo channel without passwords on there. And you can just find a weird movie on there that way, or a YouTube channel that they don't use, but they've put all their movies up there ages ago and they're just stuck up there.
And I don't think they know how to use those platforms as well, so they're just kind of stuck up there.
They're just stuck there. Yes. So that's like when you're someone like you and I, where you're just like, you're on the exploration, you're on the discovery, you're just like, you're out there trying to find them. Like, I heard about this Greek movie the other day. I go, I want to try and find a way to watch this director's other films, and I just found his YouTube channel because you could buy them for like €10 on his wiki, on his website, but then they also go, wow, he's got them in good quality just on his YouTube as well. I might just watch them there for now and then give him $10 later.
Just PayPal him $10.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything above like 420p, I was like, I'll watch this on YouTube. It doesn't have to be 4K.
Exactly.
And especially a lot of the time when it is that little undiscovered gem, it's got like 1,000 views.
Or less, crazy stuff.
I love it. And I'll save it. I'll pop that in my little saved file.
Absolutely. Save that for later.
Beautiful. But sorry, we have nerded out a little too much at the start of this podcast.
No worries. I can't wait to watch Kung Fu Elliot, though. I'm so excited.
I'm going to reach behind me. It is in my bag.
Is it?
I brought it with me. I'll show you afterwards.
Yeah, please.
I brought it with me to show one of my friends in Adelaide, which is, at time of recording, I'm heading to Adelaide Fringe next week. But I love it so much.
I'll track it down.
Yes, please do.
You might have got that director another email to answer this in just a few seconds.
We'll pass on my best to them. There's two guys, and I've spoken to them both directly. Now, I mean, all of this talk of movies has kind of led me quite nicely into the first part I wanted to ask about. So I've heard you described as a cinephile.
Yes.
Multiple times across many different platforms. Is that a title you're comfortable with? Not because of what it means, but because of the similar words.
The similar words out there. People that love other things, perhaps.
Yes, and we're not talking about a good Michael Bay flick.
No. I think I do love that term because to me there is the irony to it. That it's like, it's so silly. It's pretty pretentious as well.
I love the pretentiousness.
Yeah, I love the pretentiousness of the term cinephile. Yes. But genuinely, I am a cinephile.
Yes,
but,
exactly.
Like, the better term is like cineast or cineast or whatever you call.
I've never heard that.
I think cinephile's funnier.
Yes.
And I think it's because it does sound like pedophile. It's right. I think it is so funny to like self-declare proudly, I'm a cinephile.
Well, right, and I've heard it as well. People are in love with chocophiles as well, which I'm like,
wow, that one's scarier to me.
Yeah, that one doesn't. That doesn't sit quite as well on the tongue and in my brain. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm going to expel that one right now.
Yeah. What cinephile is the only acceptable file?
I think so.
On this podcast and in the real world.
But it's also like people like, I'm an Anglophile, and stuff like that. I'm like, Francophile.
Francophile?
They love
James
French.
Franco.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. They love the Franco brothers.
Yeah. One of them more than the other, maybe. One of which is in Australia currently.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, filming a Michael Shanks film.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But enough about them.
Yeah.
So have you ever been introduced to maybe strangers or people that aren't in the industry, and they've dropped in that you're a cinephile, and then you've had to backpedal perhaps and explain what that means?
No,
it seems like
I
one of
guess-
these titles which can get out of hand rather quickly for
Yeah.
people not in the know.
I was like, I love movies. You gotta say it like that. I freaking love movies. That's what you have
Do you
to
want to
say.
see my Blu-ray collection?
I'll show you my collection. It's 3,000 strong. You know, like,
Here are the ones that you can look at and not touch. Here are the ones you can touch if you want.
Yeah,
I've got doubles of these.
I think it's just like if people say that, I just go like, yes, I love movies.
Yes.
Unabashedly and proudly so.
And I am that man that turns up to a cinema by myself.
Yes.
I am not ashamed.
That's it, you know? That's
Yeah.
it. And I do. I go to the movies by myself all the time.
Yeah, me
it's
too.
my favorite thing, right?
I live very close to a beautiful little independent cinema back in Melbourne.
Which cinema?
I don't want to give away where I live.
Okay, will you bleep it and
I'll
tell me?
I'll tell you. I'll
Yeah.
bleep it. Yeah, the
Oh, I've not been inside. I have been inside, but I've not seen a movie.
dare you?
Not seen a
Okay,
movie.
okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have to fix that.
I think
at
so.
some point.
Next time I'll come visit you, we'll go see a
You
film.
absolutely must.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can go and see. We've got a beautiful 17mm
Yeah.
projector.
And that's
Oh,
what Quentin Tarantino went there, right?
he did.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
will not stop talking about it.
I know. That's how I know about it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how everybody knows about it. Quentin Tarantino was there like 10 years ago. You're like,
Yeah.
yep, he was.
Awesome. There's a cinema here that I do some work for from time to time called the Ritz in Sydney.
Oh, yes, I
and
know
they've
the
got
Ritz.
a plaque at one of their urinals saying Quentin Tarantino stood here. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. And that is the one that I use when I go to the bathroom.
Oh, is
there.
it?
Yeah, of course. How can you not?
You try to get there as many times now, so you get a plaque as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also, yeah.
And also,
Alexei Toliopoulos
Toliopoulos.
passed a kidney stone at this urinal.
There's your little chip out of the urinal. One day we can. Well, everyone listening, start DMing the Ritz in Sydney,
Let's get the plaque. Let's
and make
get
sure it's the
second plaque.
cinema, not the hotel chain.
Yeah, exactly.
But you
Put
know
it
what?
both.
DM anyone,
I've never peed at the Ritz Hotel chain, but I will if I get the plaque.
but we can make it happen.
Yeah, if we get the plaque, I will guarantee I will.
All right, okay. Well, that's like one of those incentives I feel like on like a fundraising platform. So DM Alexei as much money as you can, and he will get a plaque in the Ritz Hotel in Sydney.
Thank you.
But with also the number of celebrities that you have interviewed, do you find it, or do you ever get starstruck to start off with? Because I find some of these motherfuckers are so goddamn beautiful, and I just get like, I don't know what happens. My brain shuts down. I don't know what to say. I did one day of work on a Zac Efron film last year.
Oh, yeah.
Which just came out today at time of recording.
really?
Actually, Ricky Stenicki. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I knew they filmed that here, right?
Yeah, so down in Melbourne. So I did one day of
Yeah.
stunt driving on it. Very easy day.
Yeah, cool.
But Zac Efron walked
Zac
past
Efron.
me.
John Cena's in it
John
as well,
Cena
right?
walked past as well, and I was just like, Zac Efron's such a disgustingly handsome man, and all I did was stare.
Yeah.
And then like he did a little wave to us, and I was like,
wow.
oh, I'm so sorry. I've just been watching him walk down from his like, obviously has his entourage as well, and he's got the like his own private area, and he's walking down from there and just straight dead eyeing him the entire time.
Wow.
So do you find that with any of these celebrities you're ever caught up in it?
Sometime I think I've gotten a lot better at not being caught up in it. But like for me, the people I get starstruck by, it's the people that I admired when I was young or like formative years.
Oh,
and these are
right.
not even necessarily people that I've interviewed or whatever.
Yep.
It's more people when I've been around them where I'm like, oh, something's happened to me. I'm like, I'm weird. And usually I think I'm pretty cool and pretty, like I'm pretty like easy going when it's sort of talking to and stuff. But sometimes I get like, maybe the biggest ones are, I've never even spoken to this person.
Okay.
But they live in Sydney and I see them around town a lot. And we have the same agent and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it's like not like that out of the realms where I can be like, oh, hi, I would love to have you on my podcast or whatever. And my agent was even like, we can get them on the podcast. But I'm like, I'm so starstruck by this person. It's Australian actor Paul Capsis, who's like a theatre actor.
Yeah.
And he's in Head On, which is one of my most formative movies, like one of my favorite movies ever. And I think that performance that he gives in that film is one of the, like, quite simply, one of the greatest screen performances ever.
Yeah, right.
And a few years ago, Paul Capsis came to speak at my film school while I was studying there. And I was in the front row, like directly in front of them.
Yeah.
And their whole speech was about authenticity and stuff, and like, you know, being authenticity and like, you know, going like, oh, who are the people you admire? I just could not and I'm normally someone who like, I'll raise hands and stuff and suggest. I was like, I could not speak. I couldn't do anything. I was just staring at them. And I see them on the street from time to time, and I'm just like, I'm just in awe of Paul Kapsis.
Isn't it so funny? In Australia, I think it is maybe the easiest place to meet your screen heroes.
Exactly.
You will sometimes maybe catch them at their day job.
Oh yeah, but in comedy as well, it's because like the barrier of entry in comedy is so small. When I was like 1 or 2 years into comedy, I met like Dave Chappelle and stuff. Because it was just like there's no barrier. Like it's just like you can meet the most famous comedian in the world if you've been around for a tiny bit of time.
Isn't that hilarious?
And then you can talk to them. They're all pretty like, you know, you all like have the same problem in your head to like want to do this thing.
Yeah.
So it's like you all get along and stuff. And then the other people are like Pia Miranda from my other favorite movie, Looking for Ella Bundy.
Yes.
I met her in person once because I was working on a TV show she was a guest on, and I went up to her and like got her to sign my book for Looking for Ella Bundy. And I was like probably 26. And so I was like old. And I was just like, oh yes, it's my favorite movie. Man. So I was like, I was weird. Like I became fully weird. And then I've since, you know, she did a voice for us on one of the documentaries for Finding Desperado. So I directed her, but it was also through the barrier of Zoom. And I think that helped me.
The disconnect.
It helped me disconnect. It's like, oh, she'll never remember me, so it's fine. I'll just do a good job directing. And then, I've never met her since. And, I'm just like, those are the people that I'll get starstruck. But then I'll be like, you know, I'll interview heroes of mine. And now I'm like you said, because I have a lot of knowledge and then I'll do a lot of research. Like I interviewed Gillian Armstrong, who's one of my favorite filmmakers. And that's not out yet. That'll come out maybe around the time this podcast comes out, actually. For this podcast I'm doing called Sunburnt Screens, which is like an exploration of Australian cinema.
Another fantastic podcast of your
Dream podcast
arsenal of podcasts.
Yeah, Dream podcast as well. So I like to prepare for that because she's one of my heroes. I've seen most of her movies. I watched 18 movies in the 2 or 3 weeks leading up to booking her to getting her on the podcast.
That's amazing.
Because I was just like, I just need to know everything. Everything. And then I over-prepared. I had so many questions. The interview went for like 2 hours and she was generous enough to like give me 2 hours.
That's awesome.
And it kept on going longer. And then she was like very appreciative of it. But even those ones where I was nervous, but I think it was just like, hey, I know that I'm going to do a good interview, so it's okay.
I think that helps as well when you come in with things to say. Sometimes if you are caught off guard and you need to act like a regular human being, you just have 1 million things racing through your head.
Oh, man.
Do you ever just fall back into like interviewer mode and be like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. What did you think about working with this person?
Oh, I don't know. I try, if it's not in an interview thing, I try to be cool.
Yeah, cool.
I try to be cool and like, you know, not even let on like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I know a lot of your work and I've studied it. I've written essays about it. And I've like, I actually did a DVD commentary for it. No, you know, like none of those things. It's like, I just try to be normal and funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
But I don't succeed every time.
I think if you try at least, a lot of people sometimes go in and they have their own, I don't know, their own thing that they want from an interaction with people. Because I've seen it on set a lot of the time as well.
Oh, yeah.
And God bless an extra. I do bag them out a little bit too much on this podcast, unfortunately. But I've been there. I don't know if you've ever done any extra work yourself.
Oh, yes, but only as favours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, only as favours.
I've done it professionally, unfortunately. And let me tell you, from being on one side, and now I'm not that I'm doing particularly well, but I'm able to do guesties or bit parts or stunt work now. I can see it from the other side. It's that one extra that's like, oh, I'm going to go up to so-and-so and be like, oh, hey man, what agent are you with?
I know.
Can I get an interview with them? Oh, cool. How did you get into this?
Dude, when you're hearing those little conversation stuff, and I had a guest role on a show that I was so excited about. Oh. And then it got cut. I got cut out. So it was like, I had like one scene or like one line got cut out, but then you can still see me in the background. And go, fuck, I got turned into an extra. I got turned into an extra on a big show.
So that was my first TV show in Australia that happened to as well.
Yeah.
I'll name my TV show. I know the one you're talking about as well for you. How dare they, first off? How dare they be filming their second season just now?
Oh, yeah. I think they must be wrapping it now.
Oh, they would be actually. Yeah, it's March at time of recording. recording.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
okay.
they might be wrapping up.
Well, we'll boycott them anyway.
No, it's a really good show. I want to
is.
watch it. I'm going to try and get on it again.
Yeah, nice.
I'll say it. Colin from Accounts.
Yeah,
it's
perfect.
awesome. Yeah,
We've had Michael Logo on the show before as well, and he's one of the main characters in that. So
yeah,
great
I
show.
shared the screen with him for a few seconds, perhaps, in that final cut. We might be in the same shot.
Out of focus in the background.
Exactly.
So that happened with me on Offspring, and my first ever bit part in Australian TV.
Oh, good show as well.
And I was, a lot of, it was a great show. And
Yeah.
who knows why you get cut out,
Exactly.
right? But I was so excited. Told all my friends. I was like, watch, tonight I'm on. Maybe the back of my head in a scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you stick around for the credits? I was in the credits. I've got my IMDb credit. It's there.
I will tell you this, at least Patrick Bramwell sent me a really nice email saying, like, unfortunately for time we had to cut it, but we loved your performance. We think you're so funny. Like, he sent me the nicest email. The guy has to be one of the nicest guys around.
That's amazing.
And I was like, oh, that felt awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, so I was like, that was worth getting cut out.
Do you just reply like,
now he owes me a favor.
Season 3, I can do any other character you want, and just sent in those 1980s headshots from America where you're like, I'm a doctor, I'm a cowboy, here's all my characters.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. That's the backup plan.
Well, you've got his email address now, and that means that anyone listening as well, if you have a director or a producer's email address, it means you can spam them as much as you want.
Yeah, I signed him up to a few mailing lists.
You made him a Brawley account. That's a very inside joke. I feel like as well.
He probably would appreciate it.
I appreciate it. So therefore he must. But with that kind of stuff as well, being turned into an extra versus starting off as an extra in the actual show itself, I feel like are very different.
Yeah.
But I love my interactions with them. Maybe not at the time, but they certainly make for good stories afterwards. Friend of the show, Cameron James, friend of yours as well, sorry.
Yeah, my best friend.
Possibly one of the best stories I've ever heard about an extra.
Oh,
and Vince Vaughn as well. I'm sure you've heard this story.
Yeah.
But I love them so much.
Yeah.
And they really do bring me so much joy. Except from when you get stuck with them sometimes.
Yeah, it is like you said. It's always like, oh, what agency are you with? Like it's always so interesting. But the one that always fascinated me was because I came through like film school.
Yeah.
So I was like making a lot of and working on a lot of student films and stuff. When people would be an extra on a student film, I would always just be like, how. Like, because in my short films, I never had extras. Like, I never got extras in.
Thank you.
I never had extras on a short film because it was like, oh, they're all... And if they were, it would just be my friends.
Yeah.
Like, I depend on them. But then be like, people from the public would come do it. I go, all you're going to eat is like a Woolworths chicken. Like a rotisserie chicken is all you're going to eat.
We've got one rotisserie chicken for 20 extras.
Yeah, or like a pasta salad or something. And I go, wow, I don't know. I always was like, I was like, I have a lot of respect for these people because it's like you're sacrificing for nothing,
and you don't get paid. Like
you don't get paid at all.
Your Australian productions, like I'd say the bigger budget productions, things that aren't student films essentially. So your TV shows and films, you get paid not a lot.
But it's a good day work, basically.
$30 an hour though, and you're essentially just sitting down the most of it. But those student short films are free.
Yeah,
you are working for free,
and I can't believe it because it's like at least on a bigger production, you're like, oh, maybe there's an excitement of seeing how something's made, or there's a TV star there or something like that. But student film, it's like you're in the studio at the film school, and then you're just like, okay, what? It's like, oh, you're filming in a park or something,
or somebody's house.
Yeah, somebody's home, and I'm just like, oh, what do you get from it? But I'm just like, maybe it's selfless. Maybe it's just like it's truly, and I see it as so selfless.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's the person I was like, I can't believe it, and you can't be more grateful for those people.
The true angels in the film
truly,
industry.
it's the people that do extra work on student short films. Those are the angels.
I'm just always so amazed by them as well. But it's also sometimes you get some people that turn up and maybe they're not too sure what extra work is.
Yeah.
They're trying to break into the business.
Yeah.
And then I feel bad for them mostly.
Yeah. What can you do though?
I know.
But everyone's been that once. Like everyone's done. Like they'll be like, oh God, I hope everybody forgets I exist. After that, things like that.
Even certain student short films, and God bless them. I've done some amazing ones, and I've done some ones which I am so happy will never see the light of day. So it's even just going through that process sometimes as well. Like being the quote unquote star of that, or like having made them myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. I'm so sorry for wasting everybody's time there.
I know. It's so funny. It's like, but it's also those are some of the most happiest times. It's like on a little short film, mucking around with your friends. I'm like, oh, that's what I want to get back to. You know,
so
that
little
feeling.
Pressure as well, and you're not like, I don't know how many of the larger sets that you've worked on, presumably quite a few, but it's always so much like rush, do this, and a lot of the time it's nice, but a lot of the time you just feel like it's not you necessarily, but there's always someone being like, 5 more minutes, move on, 5 minutes, do this.
That's been my job. I'm in a first AD a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, not on like huge, like not even smaller TV shows and stuff, but then like smaller shoots. I've done and ads. I've done a lot of first AD work. And I will tell you, it's hard to say if I love it or not, but I'm really good at it because nobody wants to go home more than I do. So there's nobody on set that wants to finish on time more than me and get home.
That is a great motivation.
That's it. I feel it so deeply within me. It's like I want to go home more than anyone else. But I'm also really, and I know this about myself, I'm really likable. I'm really like, people like to please me.
Yes.
And so I push and no one gets angry and no one gets like pissed off at me. I never become the villain because people want me to like them. I just know that's a quality I have. I'm like, oh, I'm good at this job. I'm good at being a first AD.
The perfect first AD as well, because some of them, and I like, God bless them, first ADs as well. Actually, maybe for any of the listeners, do you want to explain what first AD does?
Yeah, so first AD is first assistant director. So what that means is basically they are the person on set and in production in charge of the schedule. One, making the schedule, and two, making sure that the filming rolls on time with the schedule as close as possible. So it's a lot, and it's weird because I suck at math, but with timing, I'm pretty good because I am good at estimating how long something will go for. And I'm good at like finding minutes lost buried in the day and like, you know, lying to get us to get back on time. Like I'm very manipulative with that, but I've not done it in a couple of years. But it was a job that I had for a while. Like it was my first jobs when I graduated film school were like in AD departments and stuff. Which is, it's so far removed from like what people would assume from me or like what I assume from myself and stuff.
Now as well, like the first AD is never in front of camera, never speaking to people. And a lot of the time they are those people that are like maybe not the most popular person on set because they do have to be like, guys, we have like 50 minutes of daylight left. You have to get this done. We have to move on to here. We only have this location booked till then, blah, blah, blah. So like being such an affable and likable person as yourself.
Little did they know that I was the biggest star waiting to burst out.
And you're just remembering everyone's name that was mean to you then. You're like, I'm going to badmouth these people in my podcast 10 years from now.
I really enjoyed that job. It was really fun. And the way that I fell into it was during, I worked on a film. A friend of mine, Craig Anderson, a great filmmaker. You would love Craig if you've never met him. He's one of the biggest cinephiles I know.
Oh, wow.
And he made a film called Red Christmas, which was like a humorous slasher Christmas film.
An Aussie one.
An Aussie one, like a grubby slasher. It stars Dee Wallace from E.T., the mum from E.T. And we filmed that over like a summer holiday. And it was like a summer holiday while I was in film school. And I was just basically, I was working on it as like a friend favor for him and because I wanted to support my friend. But I also had to do an internship at school. And I just was like, I don't want to do extra work. I'm just going to get him to sign off that I'm an intern on this film. And so it can be my official like internship job as well.
That's smart.
So like there's a making of documentary about that film and I'm credited as an intern because because I was like, oh, well, it's the paperwork. We need to say that I'm an intern.
Just ticking the boxes.
Yeah. But then there was one weekend where the first AD was away. And I never wanted to be a first AD. It was never something I thought I would be good at. But he was like, Brian's away. You have to first AD. Not even can you. Like, you have to first AD this weekend. And I did. And we finished an hour and a half earlier because I was like really good at keeping time. And everyone was just like, dude, you're amazing at this. I go, oh my God, I'm good at this job. And I always turned it down on like student films and stuff. And then the last year of film school, I was like, I'll first AD 2 other projects. And like everyone was like trying to get me to first AD and stuff.
An hour and a half early, for anyone that doesn't know, is unheard of.
And it was like the first time I ever did it, like the first day. So we were able to get some stuff from the next day as well and like get ahead. So it was like,
go home early as well.
It was pretty awesome. because there's a lot of night shoots because it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
So it's like people really were like so happy that we finished early.
I hate night shoots.
Me too. They suck. But
they
what
do.
can you do? What can you do?
I know, right? Until
Film everything in studio.
yes, Dream Screen. If you're listening just now, reach out. I think I was featured in one of your ads recently, so you know. You do that, I'll help you out by filming a film there.
Absolutely, we would love to do it. We'd love to do it.
But I mean, this has been such a beautiful and like genuinely interesting podcast. But we're here to talk about all the awkward and embarrassing moments, Alexei. So I usually have my go-to questions with a lot of course, filmmakers and comedians and actors. I mean, I don't know how many things you've auditioned for, or if you're like you're not even auditioning anymore.
I do a lot of self-tapes at the moment.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, this is my source of so much embarrassment personally.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Yeah.
Auditions in general, I understand why you have to do it.
Of course.
But I presumed where you were offer only just now, but
my
not
Lord.
quite the case yet.
I wish so bad. I pray one day. I've been doing so many self-tapes and I've had almost no luck.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there was some that you do and you hear back, go like, oh, they really like you're in the final or whatever.
Oh.
And like, there's so many things where I'm like, you're the second last choice, you know?
That's the worst. I would rather be the last choice than like the There
was one that was like, I got the self-tape and I'm like, I'm not even going to be able to, I've got no time to film this right now. And I was like, just say, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Yep.
And then they were like, no, they want you to do something. I was like, okay, let me do it. It's for a TV show, like a character in a TV show. And I did the self-tape and I go, we've got another like in person with the director audition, like get to know you thing. I was like, oh, okay, awesome. As soon as I got there, there was a more famous and an actual actor, like not just a comedic actor. I was like, this is a theater actor, someone who I'm a fan of and friends with. I think is such a good theater actor and like such a great, like really great actor. He was there and we're so different. Like we don't even look alike. So it was like they're going two different ways of the character. And as soon as I saw him there, I was like, well, obviously they're going to go with a real actor, not like a comedian who does acting.
That sort of stuff's brutal as well. It's when you turn up and you're like, oh, I know who you are. Yeah. And you're famous. Yeah. And you've got a rapport with the casting director as well.
That's it. You're successful. Like, you get cast in these kind of things.
Why am I here? I mean, thank you for the $80 for the callback fee.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's my dinner this weekend.
Genuinely appreciate it.
But yeah, that's my Uber home from Moore Park to get home. But the other one I've had recently, and fuck me dead, bro. It was so bad. It was a self-tape for an American movie, an action movie filming in Australia.
Okay.
And it's a well-known director as well, so I'm like, I should just do it.
Yep.
And I had to do an accent. I don't really do, like, I could do comedic accent maybe. Yeah. But it was one line. Okay. To do an accent in one line was so hard to just go...
Impossible.
To do an American accent, and it was like... the line I remember was, I think so. But I'm like, had to be agitated. Like, it's a stressful situation. I mean, someone's pointing a gun at me. And I was like, I had to say, I think so. I had to try and do it in an American accent. And it was hard to like go, it's only like 3 words. Yeah. So usually you'll be talking a long time, you can find it and like whatever. But it was just like, I think so. I just couldn't even change the way I said it from, I think so. Like every time it sounded exactly like that.
Also those auditions as well, where you're like, can you just write another like 7 or 8 words, lines? Would be
like,
great.
Give me a day in the life and then go, then I met the main character from the movie.
Let me improv maybe a little bit.
And there was like improv around it being like, just react and like, you know, and like have a thing where the camera can linger on you when the person drives off or whatever. But I was just like, I think so. Like I couldn't change the way that I said it because I was like, how do I say I think so in American accent? I was like, I think so every time. And I still hear myself saying it. Like, and just like every now and then, if I say, oh yeah, I think so, I'm like, oh fuck, I thought about me saying it in that movie that I'll never get. And obviously it was so bad. Yeah. I sent it to my agent. I go, I think this is shit, man. Like, can you watch it? And please don't send it if you think it's shit. And then he's so sweet. He sent me an email going like, I'll get you an extension so you have more time to do it. And then I was like, I did it again and go, he goes, it's much better, but it's still not good. But like, and he was just like, yeah, we'll send it anyway. But it was like, oh man, that one was like the toughest one. I had so many like that. But this was like a big movie, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this, but I should just at least send something.
Yeah, of course.
But it sucked. I was so shit. And like watching it back to like edit, I was like, I can't look at it.
I don't know about yourself. I do a million takes when I do a self-tape as well. And then I have to rewatch all of them. And sometimes when they're like that, like 15 seconds, like, these are all the same, man. I don't know how to choose which one's better.
Well, where does my eye line end at the end? Like, that's what you're looking at in the end. It's like,
that was a passable accent, but I did something fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you get into such a rabbit hole, and then you've heard yourself saying, I think so 1 million times.
Oh my God, so embarrassing.
None of them are good. And then it just stays with you for the rest of your life as
well.
Always.
This one's with me forever. And one day I'll see the movie and I can't wait to see who that person is that says, I think so.
So it was just one line.
One line.
Wow.
No, it was like a one character, like a one line character that's there for 1 second.
The credit's just, I think so, guy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Like, I'm like, who possibly could they get for a one-line role?
I find it very hard sometimes watching productions or shows that I've missed out on, and I'm like, I want to see who it is because, professional and watch it and all that kind of stuff. And when they go for someone completely different, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I auditioned for, again, that Zac Efron film. I actually auditioned for a character in that, and I looked up who got the part. And I was like, oh, this guy is in his 60s and not like he's actually American.
Yeah.
I think he was on some episodes of Community.
Oh,
and
they imported someone.
Yeah. And I was like, well, of course, he got it. Wow. Why would I get this?
That's so funny.
But then I wonder sometimes whether they have to audition.
They must.
Australians.
They must have to be doing local stuff as well,
So you see
but also, like, if they can save money, why wouldn't they save money by going, like, we found a guy in Australia who can say, I think so in a perfect American accent.
Happy to undercut these SAG guys.
Exactly.
MEA is much lower price.
It is. It certainly is.
But then that kind of stuff. But then sometimes you watch back the things that you like have auditioned for and went to somewhere else, and you're like, oh, that's just me.
Yeah.
Obviously, something about me as a person they didn't like.
Yeah.
And those ones kind of, they cut quite deep.
Yeah. There's some, like, because there's a lot of ads as well. Like, you'll just be like watching an ad on, you'll be watching YouTube and an ad comes on and go, oh, I remember this. I auditioned for this one.
Hello. Now, before we get into our next story, I've got to tell you the main reason why I'm able to fumble through my awkward and embarrassing day-to-day occasions. Coffee. Now, fortunately for myself and all of the listeners, we have paired with one of Melbourne's best coffee companies, Coffee on Q, a coffee worth talking about. Get ready to caffeinate yourself through your next awkward moment with Coffee on Q's signature Elevate blend. Crafted in-house with precision, each sip delivers delightful flavour notes of strawberry, chocolate and marmalade. And here's the deal you won't want to miss. Coffee on Q is offering an exclusive discount to all our listeners. Simply use the code WBFT15 at checkout to enjoy an incredible 15% off all coffee purchases. That's right, WBFT15 is a key to savings, making sure you're properly awake to remember your next big embarrassing moment. Now, this code is valid for all coffee products, so make sure you stock up on your favourites. And the best part? You can use the code WBFT15 as many times as you like. So don't miss out on the opportunity to enjoy the finest coffee Melbourne has to offer. Simply visit Coffee on Q, and that's QCUE.com.au, and enter the discount code WBFT15 at checkout to unlock 15% off your next coffee order. That's WBFT15 at coffeeonq.com.au. Coffee on Q, where awkward moments pair perfectly with your daily cup. So, I have to ask about TV commercial auditions. Every single actor or comedian a lot of the time now as well, because they want the funny guy, the comedian, to do them. And I don't think that it's out of a place of maliciousness, but they make you do some of the most demoralizing, dehumanizing, embarrassing things.
Sometimes it's really good and can be really fun, and it's like, oh, that was actually fun. And then there's some, like, I would say the ones that really suck, like you have to do a physical thing.
Yes. And for a self-tape physical thing as well, where you're just doing it by yourself in, I don't know where you do yours, mine are in my spare bedroom.
Yeah, mine's usually against a wall where I have to move my dining room table. Because I can't do it in my office where they go, wow, okay, this guy's got 3,000 DVDs. I can't let that be what they're
zooming in. They're like, oh, what printing of the Reanimator is that?
Wow, he's got 2 editions.
Shit.
So it's like, I can't let them see into my world. So I have to just do it against my ugliest wall. Yeah. And it's always like my partner ends up filming and they're not like in film industry at all.
So your poor partner, I have this in, my partner's not in the film industry.
Not at all. And like they'll be filming it and like there was one in particular where it was like in the kitchen I had to do all these actions and stuff because they have to follow me with the camera and stuff, and whenever they have to do a line, it's basically them going, I think so, like of the same quality over and over again. And it's like, oh, this one was so embarrassing. Like I'm just like doing all this stuff in the kitchen, and then I got the call back and I had to go do all that stuff in front of the director. Yeah. And there was a point where the director was like, can I see what you look like without your glasses? Yep. And I was like, man, I look exactly like you. Because he was like a chubby guy, curly hair. We were the same height. I go, if I take my glasses off, I'm going to look exactly like you. And he did not laugh. I was like, damn, I thought that was such a good, like, little easy hit-in joke. And I was like, no, didn't laugh. But the casting director thought it was funny. She's brought me in a lot of times since. So I'm like, okay, it was worth it.
I'm amazed sometimes by the directors of those things. I'm like, either they're so bored throughout the day. Nobody wants to direct TV commercials for a living. They're doing that so they can get their credits or money as well. And then sometimes I'm like, I'm coming in here, I'm taking my time out my day, like, give me a little bit as well, like a little back and forth. I did one for this TV commercial, which I think we like filmed 3 years ago and it's still on air just now.
Oh, wow.
And I know how much that guy got paid for it, and I'm like, God damn, he got some good rollovers.
Those 3 rollovers. Oh. I've never gotten one ad. I've never, and I'm trying.
See, that's so funny. I would buy anything off you, Alexei.
Wow, okay, let it be known.
Some broadband. You sell me some, I don't know what else, fabric softener.
Yeah,
I'm there.
I would love that. I would love that.
But this one was for, I won't say. I can't remember whether I signed it. I don't know. But I went in for the callback, and I was in the middle of shooting a TV show, and I drove back from location, which was like a 3-hour drive to do this callback because it was my day off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a very arduous, like it was that shoot sucked for that TV show. It was not fun. But I came back and the director was like, and I'm doing this purely, obviously everyone else is listening, but I'm doing this for Alexei just now. He was sitting like this on his chair, slumped, like he could have lay on the floor and he would have been about the same level. And then he was like, okay, start the first one. No, start facing the camera. Okay, yep. And no, yeah, okay, thanks. And then the casting director, lovely casting director, and I've been seen by them a lot since, and they were like, oh, thanks so much for coming in. And this guy, he was honestly, as I walked out, he's like, when's lunch?
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh man, this fucking sucks.
No.
And I was just like, I was so tired. And I was like, this is my one day off from filming this week. I just wanted to sleep.
Exactly.
I drove in, and again, you sit in the waiting room with everybody else that looks like you.
You're like, okay, it's all my twins and doppelgangers around here.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh, they're all better looking than me as well, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, for the show as well, I had a big bushy beard, and I had like a really goofy haircut. Yeah. And I was like, I just look like a dickhead. And everyone else is in there really nice, and I'm just tired. Like I've been sleeping. I had been sleeping in the wilderness, essentially. And it was just like, it was so demoralizing.
I know, it's tough. And it's like, especially like, you know, like, at least for you and I, it's like acting is not the main thing. Like, it's like a thing that obviously we both really enjoy doing, and I would like to do way more of it. But it's also like, you know, at least like when it's actors, I go, oh, that's their whole existence. And I think it's such a hard job. And I think I admire actors so much, casting directors so much,
casting
and like all of this, like the industry around that, I'm like, it's so hard. And it's also like, you know, I don't know, it's like I'm lucky whenever I get to do it. But it's like, it's so tough.
See, I started out as purely acting. I went to drama school. I did everything. And then just having not worked so much as well, I was like, I reached out and graded in stunts. And I started podcasting. And like, I still love acting. I still do it as much as humanly possible. But like, far out, it's not exactly abundant.
Yeah, exactly. And also I'm probably a character actor. I'll give it another 10 years and then maybe stuff will start happening in that area, you know?
But then people start hiring you for you as well, right? Because like,
so.
Yeah. Well, anyone listening? Any
Yeah,
CDs
please.
out there?
Any
Any
more
casting
things?
directors?
Yeah.
Any directors listening?
Absolutely.
Yep. Any student short films listening?
I would do a student short film for the right student, you know.
Yeah, I would
do
as
it.
well.
Yes.
I'm the same. Or the right price. Catch me on a week where I'm not feeling so hot in my bank account and I need to pick up a few barista shifts. I'll happily do a student short film. But like, yeah, it's just, you have to do so many different things. And it gets exhausting, and then you do those kind of auditions, or sometimes even just turning up to set, and you're like, I remember I shot this TV commercial once where I was an actor in it, but then at one point they wanted some ice cubes to fall into a glass from off screen. And I was like, I'm the actor. And they're like, oh, no, you can just do that, right? And I was like, yeah, I can do.
Yeah,
so I just
stood... Food sauce normally does that?
Yeah, I know, right? And then so I stood on the bar top, like, holding fake ice cubes. So these are ice cubes that cannot melt, but they're really sticky because of that. Like, I don't know what they're made out of.
Yeah.
And I was dropping them into a whiskey glass from off of camera, and I was like, I've just filmed all day. I'm like, I was the
Your talent.
Yeah, I was the hero. I was 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I had speaking to camera, like I had done that all day, and then they just had me standing above this whiskey glass, just dropping ice cubes, and they're like, oh, can you drop it like this? Can you drop it like this? And I was like, they keep sticking to my fingers. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Can I just sit down?
Oh,
like,
gosh.
And it was just like, it was those points where I'm like, this is what I really wanted to do with my life.
I know.
I think I hate it.
Yeah. But that's it. You always go through those peaks and valleys, right? There were times we go like, what have I done? Why didn't I just why wasn't I content to just be a guy like that puts the trolleys away in like a car park at a supermarket or something, or like, you know, teaching or something that had like a real vocation. But it's like, no, I have to have this amorphous multi-hyphenate career, because that's the only way you can have one in the industry now. So be like, I'm 10 different things.
Exactly, right? And even then you're maybe not working too often, and you have to be your own biggest fan as well.
Exactly.
It's so gross. I hate self-promotion.
It's so tough.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to be your own marketer, you have to be all this. But it's also like, you know, I don't know anything else. So what am I going to do?
I'm the same. I was like, what the hell else? I'm 35 now. I'm like, I'm going to be a barista at 35.
Yeah.
It's like, if you guys need me to fall over whilst bringing you this coffee, I can do it in 20 different ways.
Yeah, let's do it. I can leap over the table for you too.
Exactly. I can act like so many. Give me a motivation. I can do anything you want.
Tell me who you want to bring you the coffee.
Yeah.
Who from your life? I'll become your father in that moment. I'll do it.
I'll sit down. I love improv. Like, I can talk through it.
We can do it.
Yeah. And they're like, no, just a cappuccino, please. And
I think
oh, okay.
I think it's well for me. Like, the tough thing is, like, because I'm myself so much.
Yep.
Where it's like, you know, either podcasts or on like a panel show or like the Finding kind of doco stuff. It's like I'm me. So it's like, I know how to present myself and be funny as myself, and then it's like, okay, well, how do I do that on character in command kind of thing like that? And it's like, it's still a bit of a learning curve to it, but it's an interesting thing, because it's still, you know, when I'm on those, it's still performance.
Yes.
It's still like, you know, even in the documentaries, that's still performing. Especially because it's like, going, okay, what do we need here? Okay, we need to say, because we write a lot of it, and going like, okay, we need to present this part. How do we present it? And so it's like still improv and like everything.
Well, there's such entertaining documentaries as well. And I know I said I wasn't going to compliment you on the Finding series.
I'll accept entertaining as a compliment.
But, no, but I do. I love them so much. And I think
thank you.
The most recent one that you had out on, was it Grouse House TV that you went through with it? Yeah. So I was like, Finding Jesus as well. That was like, it was so interesting to see you guys, because the other ones have only been purely audio. So going into people's spaces and seeing you there. I mean, well, first off as well, like, how do you find interacting with certain fringe human beings, I would call them, like going in and into their space and interacting with them, and then like getting some pure moments of absolute joy as well. I think the one that stood out for me the most was when you were interviewing, I cannot remember who this lady was, but yourself and Cameron James were interviewing this one lady, and then she said, do you know the Matrix is a documentary?
Yeah, which is amazing, because that's stuff that Cam and I said to each other as joke, like the Matrix is real, it's a documentary. And then this lady said it unprompted.
Yes.
And I kind of knew, like, because we found her because we knew that we wanted... Originally, we were like, we need a physio, like someone to do physio.
Okay, was that who that was then?
Yeah, originally it was going to be like a physio, but then we like found this, then we were like, actually spirituality is more interesting for like what we're doing. Because it was all real. Like Cameron did have like this back injury.
Yeah.
And originally he first got this injury while we were riding riding it, and I sent him to my physio. He went to the same physio that I do. And there was something about that where we were just like, that's so funny that there's one guy in the world who has both touched like our naked bodies. Like there's something about that that's so funny to us. We're like, oh, maybe we can bring that into it. And then it just became like Cameron's back started acting up, and we're just like, oh, okay, it has to be part of it now.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, what about spiritual healing? That makes sense. And then we found this woman who's so funny and she was so up for it.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing I really like the way people are like going into people's spaces and stuff. Yeah. And so in our dreams, Cameron and I always want like some droll, deadpan, humorless person.
Yep.
That's what we always dream of having. We've never found someone who's like that.
No.
It's always someone who, as soon as we start talking to them, they start having fun. They want to be playing with us. They want to be funny with us.
Yeah.
So it's like every single time the other person, they always zone in on our sense of humor.
Yeah.
It's happened every single time. And it's like, we don't know what it is. They just start wanting to play with us. And we go, well, I guess that's it. Like why our stuff is kind of nice and funny, because it's like, we invite people to play, I guess.
It's because neither of you have a malicious bone in your body or seemingly on camera.
We hide them. Yeah.
Push them deep down.
Yes.
But I think people like that as well are usually so happy to talk about their own beliefs as well, and you've got this welcoming presence which just allows people to just like share every view that they have.
Yeah.
And I find people with those kind of views are always so happy to share them as well.
Yeah. And especially with those ones, we make them with a lot of empathy. Like empathy is like the core mode that we're in. Like we're trying to make them and try and like, show... almost like make portraits, like loving portraits of people and stuff. And I think like it's a celebration. Like it always ends up being a celebration of people.
Because it's never malicious. Yeah, and especially for some things which might be like, I'll use that lady again for an example, but it's like anybody else, and you see it a little bit more now with like some interesting YouTube documentarians, where they go into a space and if she said... The Matrix is a documentary, to be sharing giggles and laughs and then like trying to be like meanly pushing her on it, but like just the pure joy in both your faces, and you're so happy to actually talk about it as well. I think that's like that kind of stuff is what I really enjoy in the documentary film world as well. But like just seeing those little like nuggets of like, you couldn't have planned this better.
Yeah, that was crazy, because a lot of that is about the same stuff the Matrix is about. Yeah. So it's like in the air everywhere. And I could see she had all these books that said like the Matrix and stuff like that. But not for the movie. They're like philosophical, like what is reality stuff. Wow. And it was just kind of like, I think I can get her to talk about this. Yes. I didn't even have to try. Like it just happened. And we're just like, oh my God. When she said it, we're just like, all of us were like, we got it. We got her to say the words "the Matrix" and the Matrix is real. And it was just kind of like original. Because when we went in, I remember just going up to the director Max, and I was just like, "This is our oracle. This is our oracle in the Matrix." This woman. It felt like we were in that place.
Love that.
And it was like, I kept on trying to evoke dialogue from those scenes and stuff. And it was just to see what would happen. But it was just like, this is. This is our oracle. Yeah,
beautiful. You're just sitting off to the side trying to bend a spoon.
Exactly. I remember it's like, there was something that I said that was like an absolute, like just exactly that line. I can't remember if I made the cut, but it was like some line from that. And so I feel like, it smells like cookies in here because she's made, things like that. But I remember there was one line I said that was exactly a line from The Matrix. I was like, I got to look it up. Yeah.
Just saying, Googling
I looked it up. I was like, what is that line? Yeah.
That's fantastic. With those documentaries as well, do you find, we'll start wrapping the podcast up soon, but I'd be remiss to ask if you've found yourself in any awkward or embarrassing situations, because you are putting yourself out there so much. And I suppose, or actually the first two documentaries as well, so finding Drago, I can never...
Either way you can say it's fine.
Yeah. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Drago/Drago.
It changes every time. Finding Drago.
Yeah, and then finding Desperado. Were you going out to meet the people as much, or was it mostly online? Because I know a lot of those were like in Britain and then over in America, where it kind of culminated in.
Yeah, lots of Europe. I would say it's almost all... I'd say almost every single thing was over the internet. Yeah, over video call or Zoom or voice call, phone call. Almost everything was that. Especially Desperado, because we made it during lockdown.
Yes.
So we were able to get the three of us together in one space.
Right.
and we weren't even allowed in the ABC. We recorded it all in like a black box theater, like a shipping container.
Yeah.
And like it was literally a shipping container that's turned into a black box theater.
Oh, really?
And so like it had great acoustics, but also you could hear outside sound. So I was like, okay, it's the best we can do for free.
Yep.
And then so that was all over the internet. And then a lot of it would be like in our producer's apartment at night time. We would like do lots of phone calls to Europe
For the
type stuff.
time difference,
For the
of
time
course.
difference. So lots of stuff at night time in their house, late at night, like to get to Europe and stuff.
Yeah,
So
right.
it was very like covert ops, that one.
Yeah.
And it was so fun because we were all trapped indoors and we made something and we were attempting to make something that was like, had the feeling of a globe-trotting adventure around the whole world. And so it was cool to just be like, oh, we made a globe-trotting adventure in like a 3-block radius in Marrickville, like, you know,
And when the
lockdown.
whole world was locked down as well, not just Melbourne, but like the whole world had been shut down. So it was kind of like refreshing at that time, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I suppose then another question as well on that topic. You got in not a little bit of trouble. You got told off though.
Yeah.
Was it Finding Drago?
Yeah, Finding Drago,
Yeah.
I got told off, but I'll tell you how that happened. It was because I started making that documentary at film school.
Oh,
as, like,
wow.
it was my
Okay.
final film project. And so it was like, originally it was a 12-minute film. And for that, I did go completely illegally film undercover in a state library wearing a wire. And so there's all this film footage of me doing it as well, like where I put like got my friends to
On
walk around with
camera?
like hidden cameras and like iPhones and stuff to film me. And I had like all this extra stuff that we could use for the podcast. I was like, well, this is the funniest and best stuff that I've got.
Yep.
And my producer was like, there's absolutely no way you can use this. There's no way. Like the red tape that you've like entangled us in even having this, and now it's a project and using it. I was like, this is so much trouble. And then it was my producer, Bryce Halliday, genius. It was his idea because he was like, oh, you can't use this.
Yeah.
And I was like, but it's really funny. We should find a way to use it. And then he was the one that came up with the idea of like, well, if we were to use it, you would get in this trouble. Why don't we like put you through exactly all those troubles and we can just record it all and then we can just still use it, but you're still getting told off for using it, but we'll be able to use it all. We're like, yeah, let's do it.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
With that kind of stuff as well, whenever I get like told off such like that brings me back to childhood.
Yeah.
I feel like a child.
Yeah. I hate being told off. Yeah.
But especially when you're working in like TV and film or any recorded sense, I was like, I feel like this job can be pulled out from underneath my feet at any second. So doing anything wrong feels even worse.
Yeah, we found the exact way to get away with it.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. We were just like, the only way to get away with it is if you get in trouble for it. And if we make getting in trouble for it part of it, then it's like you don't get in trouble for it. Was exactly the way we went about it. We're like,
So
okay,
funny.
we did it. Yeah.
Two wrongs make a right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the lady was like, yeah, you can't use this. But like then she was funny on the podcast as well. And I was like, okay, awesome.
And again, it was all just like, and it's, I suppose documentaries are made to be entertaining, but it was like, it was an added layer of entertainment more so than just being like, here's me reading off a piece of paper, this is why you're in trouble.
Yeah. Because I was in trouble. Like
exactly.
it was in trouble. But making them part of it, they're like, yeah, we can still put it out in the world.
You don't have to say, were there any further ramifications afterwards? Has ABC now updated their policy and they're really,
I don't know.
wrong?
They might have.
Yeah.
I feel like they might have because, like, you know, we got away with a lot of stuff making that podcast. Yeah.
I did some work for the ABC a few weeks ago at time of recording, and they send out a contract which is 51 pages long.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if you've got an extra page in there because of that.
Yeah, maybe, but you know, I usually don't sign them.
I didn't read it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I just go, I'll work.
Yeah, exactly right. And I'm like, this is fine. Oh well, you're paying me. I'll do anything.
Exactly.
It's fine. Have my likeness. Have everything. Just
Own
give me
it.
a little bit of money,
You
please.
own me for now.
Yeah, for now.
For now.
We'll start wrapping up the podcast.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you had any other prepared stories or anything that really comes to mind for the
Wow, like embarrassing moments.
and the awkward moments we
I
all
can
have.
tell you my most embarrassing moment.
Please.
It might be ever in my life. And it was during...
So good to hear. I mean, terrible, but I'm very happy to hear it.
And it was so bad. It's a legendary bomb, basically.
Oh.
Where...
Wow, okay. So we have this with comedians all the time.
Yeah.
Like, bombs, a lot of the time they're like, it's not embarrassing, it's just par for the course.
No, this one was really bad.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
oh,
and it was like one that... Okay, I'll tell you.
Yes.
And it was one that, like, people found out about. It was that bad. Like, it was really bad.
So can I ask, you don't have to answer again, is the comedy community a little bit gossipy?
Yeah, definitely gossipy. But, I'm well liked. So it was like, it never caught on bad, but it was like people thought it was so funny.
Wow.
But it was like very early in my stand-up, and probably like maybe a year in, maybe year 2. And it was like, maybe a year. And it was like a stand-up comedy showcase for Sydney Comedy Festival at Factory Theatre.
Right.
And I had... it was such a small audience. It was so small. It's like maybe 12 people in like a 150-seat theater or something like that. And so it was like a friend of mine was hosting and stuff. And I remember coming in, and at that point I was doing quite well. Like, I was funny. I was getting a lot of laughs. And then the person on before me, they did good.
Okay.
And then I came out, and straight away I remember like having... God, it's going to make me cringe just trying to remember the joke that I said. But I remember having this bit that was like, are you a hopeless romantic or something like that, I would say to the audience.
Okay.
And then I was just like, no, sorry, I meant a homeless romantic or something. It was something stupid, like a really stupid wordplay. I'm not even looking you in the eyes.
I know.
I'm saying this.
I can see that.
Oh, it's so bad. And I remembered like it had worked a few times. I was like, oh, it's funny to say that thing. Because I love stand-up is just going like, it's funny for me to say this thing out loud. And this was like so early, so I didn't know what worked all the time. And I remember doing that, and it just did not work. And then I started doing a bit, and I was like, oh, that felt bad. Okay, let me just go to my bit that has never bombed. Okay. And it was like a bit that like always did really well. Like it was so, like I was like, I'm so in tune with this bit, so fine. I started, it's getting nothing. And it will be a bit that gets laughs all the way through.
Okay.
It's like, it's getting absolutely nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. This nothing is working right now. And then I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, I didn't have enough training. I didn't have enough like hours on stage. At this point, it's the worst I'd ever done already. I was like, I need to do something completely different. What can I do? What can I do to change gears? And I don't have enough in my arsenal to really do that yet.
Yeah, of course.
So I just started telling a story from my real life.
And a comedy story?
No, I'd never tried to do it as a comedy story.
Okay.
But in my head, it was an interesting story. And it was like a story about like me traveling. And it was a really weird story.
Okay.
And the story that I told was like when I was in LA when I was like 21.
Yep.
Which was at that time only a few years earlier. And I remember I was on a bus with some friends and some travelers and stuff. And then this old guy who was like, probably lives rough.
Yep.
He like came up to me on the bus and he sat next to me and started speaking to me in fluent Greek.
Okay.
And I could speak back to him, obviously. But everyone else around me is like, this guy doesn't look Greek.
Yep.
I don't look exactly Greek, like stereotypically. I was like, how does this guy even know Alexei's Greek? And they just start speaking Greek. The guy was Mexican. He was telling me like, I'm Mexican, but I speak fluent Greek. I'm like, okay, how do you do that? And he's like, yeah, I just know it. And I'm like, okay, weird. And so we're like, just start talking in a different language.
Yep.
And like, everyone's just like staring at us. And then at a certain point, he like has this big plastic bag, like this dirty plastic bag with him. And he goes, what I do is I sell things. And he goes, do you want to have a look? And he had this bag full of, no shit, dirty, like used sex toys. Like little dildos and like little like stimulators and stuff. He's like showing them to me. He's like picking them out of his bag and like speaking to him in Greek, showing me all these things, like how they work and everything. And so everyone on the bus, and then we get off the bus, and like everyone's been looking at me go, this conversation where a guy sits next to me and goes, are you Greek? I say yes in Greek, and then we speak in Greek, and then he pulls out a dirty bag of dildos and is showing me, and then we get off the bus, and then I goes like, everyone's like, what the fuck was that? That was so weird. So I told that story. No laughs from the audience. It goes worse than everything else I've done. Have no idea how to end it on a punchline. So it's like, okay, well, see you guys later. And I go back. And everyone's just, all the other comedians are going like, what the hell happened? And there weren't that many because there's only 12 people in the audience. maybe 6 people backstage.
Wow.
The next person goes on and they do well as well.
Oh,
so you know
no.
it's really bad when people on either side of you do fine and you have the worst bomb of your life. It was such a crushingly bad bomb. And like this was almost 10 years ago now.
Yep.
And I still remember it, all of it so well. And then after that, a friend of mine who's a more senior comedian who I really love and respect, one of her parents had just passed away and she had to do her solo show. And she was like, can you please open for me?
Yep.
And so you can come. So just while the audience is coming in, just like lay it up and make it nice for me. And I just had to go to her. I was like, I had the worst bomb that anyone's ever had. And it's not exaggeration. I can't do it. It will make your show worse if I'm on.
Wow.
And it was like, I felt so bad. But I was like, I actually can't do this. It's like, please ask anyone else. I can't do it. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
The stakes were so high. And the bomb was so bad. There was like, there was no witnesses.
Yeah.
Everyone found out about it. Like, it was so bad that people that were there told everyone. They were just like, this was the worst bomb ever.
It's the comedians that are telling people as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Those 12 audience members
They had no idea. They didn't care. But it was like everyone found out about it. And they thought it was so funny. They're like, why would you do that? Why would you tell that story? Like, why would you do that? And it was like, yeah, it was the worst bomb anyone... It would be one of the worst bombs in Sydney ever, I would say.
No, I like... Those kind of things are fascinating to me because I do quite genuinely enjoy seeing things like that happen sometimes.
Yeah.
But like as performance art, more than being like,
Oh my God, I'm
like,
sweating telling you the story again.
I know. I'm sitting here like twiddling my thumbs. I'm like, I can't sit still. That's hectic.
It was really bad, man. It was so bad.
Especially like 12 people in a 150 seater is awful anyway, but that silence of a 150 seater is definitely...
It was worse than 150 seat silence because it was like the people that were there hated it.
Yes.
They hated it.
And you were bookended
by people
laughs.
that did okay. That did okay. And it was my friend Dan Muggleton was emceeing and he was running it. And then after, he just like laughed at me so much. It was so funny. He was like, man, what were you doing? And he like held me and stuff. And we were just like laughing. No. But it was like, it was so bad. It's one of the worst bombs anyone's ever had in this city. And I would say I'm a pretty funny person.
Yeah.
So it was
impressive.
Really bad. It was so bad, man.
Do you think you could get a plaque there for it then in that case?
I hope not. I don't think there were enough people to witness to say that it's plaque worthy, but it was... It became like iconically bad within for a short period of time. People had heard about this bomb.
Did people reach out to you about it, or was it just like whispers behind you that you heard?
I saw them the next day at like different gigs and all that stuff. They
right.
Go, I heard you had a rough one. Like everyone was like, "Oh man!" Even people that were less funny than me and worse comedians, they were like going, "Oh man, I heard about it." I was like, "Oh, shut up, man! Shut up!
I don't even like you. You're worse than me."
I couldn't escape it. It was so bad.
Oh no!
But then, like I didn't bomb the next time. I did stand up right after that. But it was like that one was so bad.
But you can do a million good gigs, but you just have that one bad.
That one was bad.
Bad.
And I've never bombed as hard since, and I pray I never will. And I don't think many people have bombed as hard as that since, like in public.
Impressive,
in general.
yeah. I mean, I'm about to head to the Adelaide Fringe, so never say never. That's all I'm saying.
Adelaide Fringe, maybe there's one that bad every year. There might be. So. Like, I cannot overstate how bad this was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, again, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but genuinely impressive.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Also, crazy story, but to have a story like that and no punchline is so confusing for an audience member. Because I presume that they wouldn't know that you're floundering a little bit.
Well, they probably would have known I was floundering. Well, they have no idea that I'm just doing something for the first time out loud.
You just told this story, which is like funny, but not a funny laugh out loud.
No.
A funny where you're like, that's funny.
That's like, a weird story.
Yeah.
It's like, I had no idea what to do.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Alexei.
Oh, God. I'm going to have to go purge myself in some way after thinking about it again.
I say this every time on the podcast. I get people to bring up the worst parts of their professional life, maybe even their personal life sometimes.
Yeah.
And then you get to sit with it afterwards. And all of us just get to go around with our daily lives.
Yeah.
But man. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Dude, Seb, thank you for letting me share it. Maybe I'll feel better about it eventually.
I do think sometimes this is like a form of therapy. Like you say it, you put it out there.
I don't know, man. It's been like 10 years since it happened, and I'm still thinking about it again. I was like, God, why would you do anything that way? And I have way more hindsight now. now.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I actually still don't know what I would have done.
Sometimes hindsight makes it worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you can't find an answer to it, you're like, oh, I have no answer. Which can be like, you're like, what happens if that happens again? That's how my brain is wired now. You're scaring yourself. But yeah, sorry, we'll end this on a high note. Where can people find you? What have you got going on? Your socials, your podcasts?
Yeah, this is Alexei on like Instagram and Letterboxd as well. I love Letterboxd. But I would say my new podcast, The Last Video Store, is the best place to find me. Like we said before, it's the last video store in the world. I'm the clerk. People come in, they get a rental combo of 1 new release, 2 weeklies. They talk about their favorite movies, and then I'll give them a bespoke staff pick recommendation based on their taste. I've done all the searching and discovery in the world of cinema, so they don't have to anymore. We've had cool guests like Cameron James was on, Polly Bennett, who's the choreographer and movement coach for Saltburn, and Elvis. She was really cool. Luke Bracey, great Australian Hollywood actor. Angela White, the pornography star. Tony Armstrong's coming up. Nino Oyama's coming up.
Oh, fantastic.
Who else? We've got some big fish coming up. Trying to reel in some big fish.
You'll just have to listen to the bloody episodes, all you people listening to this one.
Exactly. So pretty exciting. Trying to get some big people on and exciting people. And Zach from Auntie Donna's on. Like lots of fun people.
Fantastic.
They're all the people in the lineup are trying to get some interesting and exciting people from film, TV, everywhere. Every walk of life, really.
Yes, exactly. And I love hearing it, just like how you're saying, like you got choreographers, you got adult film stars. I love hearing it from different aspects, not just actors and comedians. Although I do love actors and comedians, of course.
They're favourites.
They are. But hearing it from all these other people is so interesting, and then hearing their inspirations and stuff like that. Yeah. Fantastic. So we've got that. That'll be linked in the show notes, as is everything. And you have Sunburnt screens as well just now? Yeah,
Sunburnt screens. We did 4 episodes in 2023, and it's an exploration of Australian cinema.
Yep.
And it's kind of like essay documentaries is almost how I describe it, where it's me, I have like a topic for an episode, I'll interview interesting filmmakers around it. For example, like the new wave of Australian horror that we've been living in for the last 10 years or so plus, like from Babadook to Talk to Me. I think we're in like a really interesting period of Australian horror, so I talk to a lot of filmmakers in that scene, around that scene, create like kind of audio documentaries. And so there's episodes of that. There's episodes about queer cinema in Australia. Filmmaker focus episodes are coming up with Rolf de Heer and Gillian Armstrong.
Yes.
And they'll be coming out soon. And then I'll say what I'm working on for a 2-part, burst finale again.
Okay.
Which is 25th anniversary oral history of Two Hands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one of Australia's favourite movies. Yeah. So it's like 25th anniversary. I'm interviewing the director.
25th anniversary?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it was made in 1999.
Jesus.
So 25th anniversary this year, and like an oral history with like some cast and crew, and the meaning of that film, like why it's had this longevity.
Yeah.
And like kind of my thesis for it is, it's a rare journey for a film to go on from like acclaimed to cult classic to now every single time I talk about Australian film, which is every fucking day basically, that is the film that gets brought up to me. Almost every time the most. It's a film that people are really passionate about and love really deeply. And so it's a genuine classic now.
Yeah.
So I really want to like go, whoa, what is that journey and why does it mean so much to people?
Oh, that's so cool.
So yeah, doing a lot of stuff around that. So it'll be like a 2-parter, 2 hands in 2 parts basically.
Oh, look at that. Well, I'll definitely be listening to that.
I hope so.
Cannot wait to hear it. And then you've got all of the Finding series as well.
Yeah, they're up on wherever you get podcasts on Finding Drago and Finding Desperado. That's where the series begins, and then Finding Jesus is on YouTube, and it's like a video documentary comedy hybrid series.
Definitely recommend them as well. Again, everything will be linked in the show notes. Do you have any other screenings of anything coming up? Because you like to present film screenings occasionally, or
yeah, you know what? Weirdly, this is coming out like April, right?
March, April,
Yeah. I'm a programmer for Fantastic Film Festival Australia.
Oh, wow.
And so we're end of April, in May, there is a great film festival in Sydney and Melbourne called Fantastic Film Festival. We've got some really interesting films and some like a great program of interesting weird films from around the world.
Nice.
And it's like, cults in the making, basically. Cults in the making for all these films.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely be checking that out in Melbourne anyway.
Yeah.
And again, that'll be on the show notes. And then the same as every week, you can find the podcast, Won't Be Forgetting That Pod, across most of your social media platforms. Find myself, Seb Muirhead, Muirhead, on Instagram and YouTube. If you did enjoy the show, please rate it 5 stars. Write a review. Doesn't have to be nice. It can be anything you want, as long as you rate us 5 stars. Go crazy. We do have a Patreon as well, patreon.com/Won't Be Forgetting That Pod. If you can chuck in a couple of dollars, it's genuinely appreciated. If not, the reviewing, that's free, baby. So give that a shot. But once again, Alexei, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Seb.
We have a guest. They are a podcaster, a film critic, a critically acclaimed investigative documentarian. I read that wrong. Let's do this again.